Hello everybody, welcome to Trading Monks, your trading buddies. Welcome to another episode of Chai and Charts.
ये वीडियो एक प्योरली इंट्राडे ट्रेडर के पर्सपेक्टिव से बनाया गया है। इस वीडियो में एक बहुत ही स्पेशल आदमी को बुलाए हैं। वी कैन कॉल हिम इंडियन पिवट बॉस। जैसे फ्रैंक कोचोवा, पिवट, सीपीआर, कैमरिला, इस सब चीजों को वो वर्ल्ड वाइड उन्होंने जो बनाया है, बट इंडियन कम्युनिटी में, इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में जो मनोज जी ने जो काम करा हुआ है, दैट इज फिनोमिनल, बियॉन्ड वर्ड्स है। आप इसको वीडियो को देखेंगे तो आपको दिमाग आप एकदम खुल जाएंगे कि इंट्राडे में प्राइस एक्शन को कैसे रीड करा जाता है, इंट्राडे में लोकेशंस क्या क्या होती है, और जो सीपीआर के बारे में हम लोग जानते हैं उस सीपीआर का और क्या अदर पर्सपेक्टिव है जो और लोग नहीं बता रहे हैं। एनीवे, वी विल ब्रिंग अ सीपीआर वीडियो ऑन अवर 20,000 सब्सक्राइबर काउंट, बट यहाँ पे उन्होंने ऐसी ऐसी चीजें बताई जो हम लोग पर्सनली खुद भी नहीं जानते थे, एंड वी विल ट्राई टू इनकॉर्पोरेट दोस इन आवर ट्रेड गोइंग फॉरवर्ड, बिकॉज हमारे मानस और आई थिंक हमारे जितने भी सर्किल में सबके लिए सीपीआर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टूल, एंड दे यूज सीपीआर ऑन अ डेली बेसिस फॉर स्विंग ट्रेडिंग एंड इंट्राडे ट्रेडिंग. But this video will be on day trading, so make sure that you have pen and paper in your hand, and he will be sharing almost 4 to 5 intraday trading strategies that he uses on a daily basis. So इसको ध्यान से देखिएगा, इसको एंड तक देखिएगा, इसको बढ़ा के मत देखिएगा, और इसको शेयर जरूर करिएगा, बिकॉज ये इंट्राडे ट्रेडिंग के लिए फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट में ये रिमार्केबल वीडियो होगा, मार्क माय वर्ड.
So here to Indian Pivot Boss, Manoj ji. Manoj ji, thank you so much for accepting our invite. And Utkarsh, and we were talking about that we are struggling somewhere in intraday trading. So Utkarsh bhai always spoke so highly of you, even before 10 months ago, even 1 year, where we did not start a Trading Monks channel, and he spoke very highly of you. That there is a that we at that time we read that book Pivot Boss by Franklin Ochoa. So we thought that if there is someone in India who is doing such thing, or who is doing who is following CPI and Camarilla, he named of you and he spoke very highly of you, that you're doing an amazing job with CPR and pivots and everything. So
This truly an Indian pivot boss. We have Frank Ochoa as pivot boss,
actually,
and we have Indian pivot boss as.
Hey, I'm not that great and all. Actually, see, I am also learning as day progresses.
So, Manoj ji, thank you for accepting an invite on a very short notice, as we randomly texted you and you were gracious enough to accept our invite. So, thank you for coming, and thank you for.
It's my pleasure, actually. It's my pleasure for joining you.
Thank you.
So, I want to share one thing with the viewers, that I am already a student of Manoj ji. I have joined the course way back in January, and I was exploring the intraday trading, and since I was working into CPR and pivots, so I thought, why not go with Manoj ji was doing a phenomenal work in that field. So I thought it will help me to hone my intraday skills. So thank you for that, Manoj ji, and I have always shooted you so many questions on WhatsApp also, and you promptly replied to those questions. So thank you for that also.
It's always my pleasure, actually. Yeah.
So let's begin with this CNC, and we would first like to know more about you. Like how you started your trading journey, and how you are able to do it part-time basis.
Yeah. See, like I can attribute my trading journey to my profession way back in 2003 when I first joined State Bank of India's associate, State Bank of Mysore. I think you might have heard about State Bank of Mysore. I think.
Yes.
It was one of the associates of State Bank of India, which later on merged with State Bank of India along with other associates. So there, I got an opportunity to work as a trader. I joined as a probationary officer. I think you might be knowing the probationary officer examination, which is conducted by State Bank of India on and off.
Okay.
So I got an opportunity to I joined State Bank of India's associate in 2000. So I got an opportunity to join the treasury trading room. In the year 2003, actually. So there I was introduced to financial markets. That's the first time I'm looking at financial markets, charts. So I was actually given an agenda to trade bonds.
Okay.
Fixed income securities. And of course, derivatives also, fixed income derivatives.
So which year that might be? Around which year?
It's around 2003. 2003.
Okay.
I joined as a trainee in trading room. So where I was literally I was slogging at that time. Slogging in the sense like I was made to work in back office in order to understand what is fixed income securities, like how they behave, what are the characteristics of fixed income securities, and so on and so forth. So I literally slogged on for 1 or 2 years, understanding the concepts. Then like I moved into front office there. Like I was fascinated with the charts. Then I thought, okay, like I love to learn a lot. Then I literally purchased some books on fixed income securities and derivatives, fixed income derivatives. So there only then like I started learning. I mean, there I was introduced to options also, options, futures, and derivatives, and also like that's how like I got introduced into financial markets. And like later on, like I was given a portfolio to trade in fixed income, kind of fixed income portfolio for the bank. Probably after 2 years, probably around 2005 onwards, when our trading room was shifted to Mumbai in Bandra Kurla complex.
Okay, okay. From there to Mumbai.
Yeah. Mumbai, from Bangalore to Mumbai. So like there, by that time, like I got a hold on fixed income market. But one thing I didn't realize at that point of time is institutional trading is very easy.
Okay.
But when you actually trade on your own capital, it is very, very difficult.
Oh, yes. So how much capital were you trading with?
No. See, institutional trading, you have unlimited capital actually. Unlimited capital in the sense, like, say, for example, there are lots of flexibilities. So if you institution, what happens is your the bank's portfolio is divided into 3 categories: trading portfolio, your banking portfolio, and held to maturity.
Okay.
So there are lots of flexibilities actually. See, let's suppose I do not know how they function right now. Those days, what we do is at that time it was semi-computerized environment. So we buy. I mean, like we buy for trading. So it doesn't work out. So what we do is we shift it to kind of banking portfolio. So in banking portfolio, what happens, like it will not be mark to market on a daily basis. So there, the flexibility is always there, which is not possible in case where your capital is limited. For example, in retail trader whose capital is always limited. I began to realize that later actually when I withdrew from the institutional trading part.
So how many years did you trade for institutions?
I traded from 2003 till, I mean, literally from 2004 till 2008.
Okay, that 2000. So you left after because of the 2008 market crash?
No, not like that. See, 2008, I got an opportunity to move to Hong Kong. Like State Bank of India, like they sent me to Hong Kong for the foreign posting.
Okay.
So there, what happened? Like I was not involved in trading, but I was a part of the trading division. I was into back office and risk management for their forex operations. So that was a tenure of 2-3 years, around up to 2010. So there I got introduced to this international foreign exchange markets like CFDs and all.
Okay. So did you trade forex also? Like
I trade personally, I mean, not for an institution. I never traded for an institution. I never traded for State Bank of India. But I traded. I used to trade on my personal account. I have since being abroad, like I can. I have some accounts with FXCM and all.
Yeah, I do have account with FXCM also.
Yeah. I think from India it is not permitted.
No, I was in UK for my studies, so I got plugged into trading in UK.
Oh, good. Okay,
I started my journey in forex market. Then when I moved back to India, then Indian market.
That's great, right.
So from Hong Kong, how did you move to Kuwait? Are you still into job? Are you still into job?
Yeah. I resigned from State Bank of India like the moment I came to India because that foreign tenure was a period of 2.5 years. So when the moment I came back to India, like I was always interested in treasury, risk management, and all. See, during my tenure in Hong Kong, like I did some international courses and all. Like for example, this financial risk management. So I was more interested into the financial markets. So the moment I came to India, like what happened was I was actually forced to work in a branch for my promotion. So like State Bank of India, that there is a rule actually. You'll have to serve in a branch for a fixed number of years, 2-3 years or something like that. So that like I thought, okay, that will disrupt my career, my passion. So I thought, okay. Meanwhile, I was holding an offer in Kuwait, one of the Kuwait banks, and as a financial risk manager. So that's when
So
I
right
decided,
now you are trading. You are trading financial market from Kuwait for institutions, and you are trading your own personal account also.
No, I am not trading for institution, but I am actually managing the risk of treasury actually.
Okay. So you are
So
managing treasury and you are trading your own personal account.
Personally, I'm trading actually. So here, what happens due to time difference? So I get free time during the morning hours. So literally some 2.5 hours I get a free time, 2.5 to 3 hours. So that's how like I started trading, intraday trading in indices.
So
Nifty,
what made you think, or what was your inspiration or learnings that I want to use pivots or I want to use Camarilla, or even that, let's go to the first broadest perspective first. What made you switch to intraday trading?
Yeah, since you have less time of money, since you have less time, so people tend to go to swing trading because they have less time. But since you have less time, you went for intraday trading.
See, my nature of trading is like I later observed that I always wanted to capitalize on the fast movement of charts. I mean, for fast movement of candles. So that was my inspiration. I even tried doing iron condors and all, which I was not able to track the position only because it was so boring that.
Spreads.
It is a very boring trade. I tried many. I mean, even swing trading and Nifty, Bank Nifty, and all I tried, but like somehow like I was not fascinated with that. Fascinated in the sense like I was not actually able to patiently wait for the move. So I thought why not I capitalize on what I really love to do actually. So that is how like I ventured into intraday trading. But the thing is like it took a lot of time to like know what I wanted. See, it's not that immediately I moved to Kuwait. It's not that immediately I started trading. So when I was in State Bank of India, also I was trading on my personal account. Of course, like I remember me suffering 1.5 lakh loss on a borrowed money.
Oh, okay.
That time I borrowed. I mean, I applied a loan overdraft in my own bank as a staff loan. So I remember I and one of my friends, we jointly traded some options related to some Reliance back in 2004 or 2005. Some Reliance-based company, I don't remember that. I only without knowing anything. Simply, we knew was when we buy call option, and when the market moves up, the call option will increase in price. That's all we knew.
So you were the risk manager for treasury, and you went all in with 1.5 lakhs with your own account.
That was when I was a trader in fixed income securities.
So what was this thing was after your job or before the job?
No, when I was doing my trading in State Bank of India.
Okay.
So I was like I was in the trading room. So it was very flexible. Like we were able to see all screens under Bloomberg, Reuters, everything, all fascinating, all sophisticated screens we had at the time.
Okay.
So like we were having access to all kinds of markets. So we started trading in on personal accounts also. Sometimes what happens, fixed income securities don't move very often during those days. So to kill that time, we started trading on personal accounts, and that's how like I ventured into the world of options. And that was the big. It was a big sum at that time. 1.5 lakhs. You know PSU banks how much they pay in terms of salary. So that was my first experience in options. Then like I was not keen to learn options. I thought, okay, like let me forget that. I never told that to anyone, also to my family members. So only comfort I had was like I was getting monthly regular income from my bank in terms of salary.
I think the first loss of everyone is hidden from their family.
Exactly right. And after that, the second major loss I took was in 2013, where that was despite learning. 2010 to 2012, when I came to Kuwait, I started. First thing I wanted to be a trader. To trade personally. So I started. I have a good collection of books actually. I started building up started learning lots of books. Reading lots of books. I got lots of books from Amazon. To name a few is Alexander. This day trading for a living by Alexander Elder. Chart patterns by Bulkowski. So then I started implementing those strategies. I took a big hit in 2013, where I never knew about risk management on personal trading. Okay. So I went on trading recklessly. First 3-4 trades worked out actually, but I thought, okay, like trading is very easy, and started continuously trading without any proper risk management plans and all. So I almost lost around 9 to 10 lakhs, not on a single trade, but over a period of time.
Over the year.
Over a period of time, probably 6-7 months. Then I thought, okay, I need to stop that, because at that time, market was very good. 2013 there was not a there was no major big crash and all. 2013 market was very good, but due to the reckless trading, mostly on intraday trading, so I lost almost quite a big sum, 9 to 10 lakhs. But I had a bit of comfort actually, because my job was there, and also it was a reasonably paid job.
Okay, so what was the shift in your psychology that how did you tackle that you had a string of losses in intraday trading? So what most people do is, if they'll make a loss in intraday trading, they will switch to swing trading, or they'll switch to positional trading, or they'll switch their systems. So in that time, from taking a loss in intraday trading, you still continued with intraday trading. So how
I also do swing trading. Swing trading in the sense I don't take futures position in swing trading. I take stock positions in swing trading. For example, I follow this Mark Minervini method very judiciously. Mark Minervini and Stan Weinstein's method.
Mark Minervini, that outperforming
volatility contraction pattern.
Yeah. There are the 3-4 patterns are there. So that is one part actually. I have allocated a certain amount of capital towards that, which I do on a weekly basis. I scan through all those stocks. That continues parallelly.
Okay.
On this intraday
so if
trading,
anyone wants to learn about those setups, they can read Mark Minervini's book, right?
Yeah, Mark Minervini, I started reading Stan Weinstein's book. Stan Weinstein is a 1980s trader.
Okay.
So that is a very excellent book. In fact, Mark Minervini's guru is Stan Weinstein. That is a very excellent book. Stan Weinstein's profiting from bull and bear markets.
Bull. Okay.
It's a very good book, very excellent book. So I strongly suggest a person who wants to trade in stocks to go. It's a very simple. You need not require any sophisticated indicators. So you can with simple indicator 30-week moving average, you can figure out how a stock is likely to behave, what stage a stock is. Okay. What are the different stages of stock? Okay, all these things I'll do. In the course of time, I'll explain this.
Okay, that would be great. So you continued with intraday trading, and then how come you got into CPR and the Camarilla and everything?
Yeah, CPR was as I told, 2013 I took a big loss. So I did not trade for 6-7 months. So I was looking for, as usual, people try to look for strategies, different strategies. So when I was trying to search for, I always got all this name of the books from Google search only. So when I was trying to do this, I came across two books, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas, and of course our Frank Ocha's Secrets of Pivot Boss. So immediately I purchased that. I ordered from Amazon. I think I went through these two books 2-3 times. That's how I got a fascination towards pivots. And also like this going through this Trading in the Zone, Mark Douglas, it's a very boring book. It's not, It doesn't contain any trading strategies. Initially I skipped that book. After reading some 5-6 pages, I skipped that book. Then later on, like it was, I remember on one flight journey from Kuwait to India, I carried that book. So in that flight journey, again, I went through that book. Then I realized the sense what he actually says. I mean, Mark Douglas is not a trader. But whatever he says, there is a sense actually. You will have to understand your own psychology. You're battling, when you're trading, actually, you're battling yourself. That is what the book reveals, actually. So if you try to realize your inner consciousness when you're actually trading, you will, even though you don't have a strategy, you will come out as a winner. That's what I realized.
Wow, some great realization.
So why did you think that you'll make your system around CPR and Cameron levels, like all the pivot points?
See, if you go through the Frank Ocha's book, it's a very interesting book.
Yes. Very interesting.
During that 2010 to 2012, when I was trying to learn many things about market, I came across this AmiBroker software actually.
Yeah.
Somewhere around 2012, I think. I came across AmiBroker software, and I wanted some software to scan the market. I was just thinking how people are coming up with a list of stocks, what are the types of scanner they are using. So I was just Google searching, something should be there. So when I Google searched, I came across this AmiBroker. Then I was further searching in Google. I came across this AmiBroker AFL collection. One Facebook group is there. So I joined that group. So that is where I learned about AmiBroker. It's informal learning. So from that group, I came to know how you can feed in data. So I came to know that there are licensed data providers available, NSE licensed data providers available. So I subscribed to one of them. So that's how step by step I learned, and I learned some basic coding actually. I'm not a very professional coder, but I know to code some strategy, all self-learned actually.
But I have seen your codes on AFL and PineScript, they are phenomenal. Even I'm trying to learn coding and everything, but the thing, I have seen your indicators, they are top notch. They come with bias signal, they come with bias signals with the stop loss and everything, and with the this thing, draw down the statistics of all the strategy. So how do you come up with those things? With the basic understanding of programming, or you have hired someone?
See, it is basically through self-learning only. I'm not a professional coder. So what I do is I look at, if you want to learn SpineScript, there is a beautiful site called Codify.net.
Codify.net?
Codify.net, KODIFY.net. It's a very good KODIFY, Codify.net. It's a very good, of course, you have that PineScript instructions. That manual is there. That as usual, it will be very boring. So this Codify.net is very good place to learn PineScript. Of course, AmiBroker, AFL, if you want to learn, there is no formal this one, what do you call the classroom or something.
Okay.
There's no formal course or something. I learned through this AFL Facebook group only. They're all many people will come up with codes. So I used to literally, one thing about AFL is it is very simple to learn. It is a kind of plain vanilla English language kind of thing. Anybody can understand that. Yeah. So that is how like I learned. I mean, anybody can learn actually. The only thing people have to like put some effort. That's it. Time and effort. That's it.
So you were putting time in trading and you were putting time in the programming language also at that point of time.
Programming language, say like at that point of time, like I was like trying to like I was like actually fascinated with the backtesting and all backtesting strategies. So I used to like literally try to backtest all those MACD strategies, your stochastic, RSI. So that is how like I kept on developing myself. Then once I completed this Pivot Boss book, what I did was I joined our master trader. Frank Ocha is having a master trader program also.
Is that Mark Minervini's master trader program?
No, Frank
Not Mark
Ochoa.
Minervini, Frank Ochoa.
Frank Ochoa's master.
Yeah. So there's a master trader program. I think I don't remember the exact terminology. So I joined that. It's a quite. It's reasonably costly also. It's not very cheap.
Yes.
So that also like gave me lots of inputs about pivots, which is not told in Frank Ocha's that book.
Okay.
But I have also done his Frank Ochoa's course, but I found that book was much better than the course. I have done swing trading, Pivot Boss swing trading, and I have done. He has 3 courses, but for the stock market, I think he has 2 courses. Maybe the courses have changed right now, but earlier it was different. But I found the book was much better than the course. Here is PIMA, pivot based moving average 13 and HLC moving average, but the book has more information with CPR with respect to CPR in the trading than the course. Maybe that was my experience.
Yeah, that is possible, but I mean that course contains more information apart from pivots also. For example, VWAP based strategies.
Yes, true.
So on and so forth. So like of course that also like helped me a lot actually. Like I mean not from a trading perspective, from a learning perspective, I came across lots of other strategies also, which some point of time I thought, okay, let me use in my trading also. So what I did, as and when I was like going through that Frank Ocha's course, both from the book and from his master trading program, I started developing the indicators on my own. I didn't want to like copy from others actually. So I thought, okay, like if I develop indicators on my own, like I'll know like what is that, how it is calculated. So I started making my own research. So that's how like I came up with all those AMI broker codes and all. It took a lot of years. I mean, in fact, more than a year to like complete the code actually. That the code which I had given to you people.
Yeah, you have given everything for free. I am using your that code, TradingView code for that narrow CPR and the wide CPR, that plot lines. So I'm using that code on a regular basis.
Good.
Okay, so CPR same wala.
The width CPR width wala, that indicator. Manis is also using that thing, but he doesn't know that it is made by you.
Okay, great. Okay, good.
Okay, you made.
Yeah, he coded that thing. I told him what is called
CPR and the Camarillas S3 and R3 levels wala.
नहीं जो नीचे वाला जो CPR width होता है जिसमें it's if the histogram is tall, then the CPR width is wide, and but if the
I don't have.
you use that, yeah, you don't remember. I have seen you using that thing. So, but yes. So thank you for those ready-made indicators for us.
Yeah, so no problem. My pleasure, actually. Yeah.
So coming to the trading part. So let's dive more into trading. So how do you start your day? Let's say do you trade stocks or you only stick to indices?
See, initially I tried trading stocks, but somehow it didn't work out for me because like stocks actually like you need to run a scan. You have to like concentrate on for top 5 or top 6 stocks. So it was a bit cumbersome in one laptop because you need to have some 3-4 screens. That's what I feel actually. I do not know how others trade stocks. So then I restricted only to Bank Nifty and Nifty. Predominantly Bank Nifty because like intraday trading you need volatility. So sometimes, of course, Nifty also is volatile. It is not that Nifty is not volatile. But Bank Nifty is ruthlessly volatile. So I try to capture that volatility. Sometimes I get hit also. That's a different thing. See, I mainly look for three things actually: trend, direction, and momentum while trading. So I have my own indicators for trend, direction, momentum. See, like if you read the conventional books of Frank Ocha, that is the only book which he has written. Many people they look at only CPR as 3 lines. They basically they don't dwell deep into CPR. Like they just understand CPR is having 3 lines, and market is trending up. There is a higher value relationship and lower value relationship, and so on and so forth. But if you actually look at how CPR is calculated, you will come to know you can try to find a trend before the market actually moves.
So how
show us tell us more about this secret that you are talking about.
It is, I have already revealed to you in the scores.
Yeah, but for the general public who is interested,
I'll tell you. I'll see. Basically, I'll tell you more about CPR so that.
I would like to interrupt you for one thing. We both have read the CPR book and we have majorly gone through the course. So the basic premise of this CNC is that we want to learn the secrets that you have unfolded through your trading journey of the CPR and Camarilla.
Yeah,
so
I'll tell you.
Tell us the secrets that you have encoded.
Yes, Camarilla is there is no much secret in Camarilla, but Camarilla is not a pivot actually. Camarilla it's kind of the pivots in CPR and pivots in Camarilla both are same.
Okay.
So only Camarilla, the way the resistance and supports are calculated, that is different. Coming to CPR, you have 3 lines. The middle line, it is average of previous day high, low, and close. That is nothing but high, low, and close. You give equal weightage. The central pivot, it's basically you give equal weightage to previous day high, previous day low, previous day close. So the upper line, which is called top central, TC
and BC.
TC and BC. The TC, you give more weightage to previous day close. That is, you give 66% weightage to previous day close. Okay. The formula structure like that. If you decode the formula, you will find out 66% weightage is given to, there is 66.3 is given to previous day close, and the balance is equally divided among previous day high and previous day low. Okay. The bottom central equal weightage is given to high and low. There is no close.
Okay.
So understood, no? So that is how
we will make this thing infographic for the viewers. So the low BC is high plus low divided by 2, and the CPR is a high plus low plus close divided by 3, and the TC is 66% weightage to the closing price.
The TC is it's actually pivot minus BC by 2 or something. The formula is like that. But actually, if you decode that, if you substitute pivot for high low close by 3, and if you decode that, it will come to 66.6% weightage to your close, and remaining will be equally distributed among high and low. So what happens here is, let us assume the market is coming down.
Okay.
So when the market is coming down, always what happens that top central is there. Top central comes bottom, and bottom central goes up.
On the downside, the downtrending market.
On the downtrending market. Why that happens is since there is a higher weightage of close in the top central. So when you calculate the average shifts down. So the BC will become greater than TC because the BC doesn't have a close, doesn't have the contribution of close. Whereas in TC, the contribution of close is higher. So when the close comes down, close is very near to the low. The close and low, that actually pulls the line below BC. So BC shifts up, TC shifts down. So this
Okay.
actually I hope I conveyed the point to you in a way you can understand, I think.
I think you are telling ki, on a given intraday on a given day, if the TC crosses, if TC becomes BC, if TC crosses the middle CPR center pivot line to the downside, then that means the trend, the coming trend, the ongoing trend is changed to bearish. The ongoing intraday trend is changed.
That is a possible indication. See,
Possibility of that.
now like what I have told you is about previous day high low close based calculations. So there's something called developing pivot.
DPR, developing pivot range.
The developing pivot. So the same thing can be applied using current day close, current day open, current day high, current day low, current day close till the time which we are calculating.
So this arrives me to a question that, for example, I am planning a trade for today morning by using the CPR I am getting from the previous day ranges. So for example, today is Tuesday. I'm planning a trade on Tuesday morning. Market is yet to open. And Monday, I have got the ranges and I also got the CPR. So at what time that, for example, and Tuesday market has opened. So I need to shift my plan that I was bearish according to the previous day CPR, and I have to change my my plan so that, so I have to change my plan. At what time I will see the DPR?
See, I will tell you, like, I mean, the strategies I'll come to you later. Now I'm just telling you, like, the nature of CPR, how the CPR behaves actually. When the market comes down, how it behaves. When the market goes up, how it behaves. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not telling that this is what I will be using for trading.
Okay.
Of course, this is one of the components. So till now, what I was trying to tell you is I was trying to tell you the significance of TC shifting below TC becoming lesser than BC and BC becoming greater than TC.
Okay.
So the three lines are there. No, three lines are there. It is not the top central will always be at the top. When the market comes down, let's assume the market is in a downtrend. So TC will come below BC. That happens when the market comes down.
Okay.
So this is one part. Second part is see, till now I was telling you about CPR. I was telling you about CPR in terms of previous day high low close. The three lines. The three lines are formed during the day also. I mean, during the day, what happens is, suppose today market is running on. I mean, now trading is going on. Let's assume market trading is going on now. So you have right from morning 9:15 till now, assuming the trading is going on now. Right from morning till now, you have the high point of the day, and you have the low point of the day. And the current price will be the close.
Okay.
So based on that, you can construct a developing pivot.
Pivot range, yes.
The same applying the same formula, high low close by 3 and TC BC. So you can construct a developing pivot. So when you construct a developing pivot, the same concept applies actually. When the market is going up, your TC will stay at the top. The market is coming down. Let's assume market is trending down. So TC, what will happen is TC will shift to BC. I mean, TC will come down, BC will go up.
Yes,
so when you identify that shift, see that when you identify that shift, like let's assume BC is going up and TC is coming down. So that will warn me not to go long.
Oh, okay. So that gives you a sentiment in advance.
Yeah, that will tell me not to go long. If I am, it is not that I will go immediately short. So that will give an indication to me that market is not. I mean, if you go long, the odds are not in your favor. But one thing you have to understand, like I mean, in a choppy market, it keeps on shifting. I mean, very frequently.
Yeah, BC becomes easy as
yeah, it keeps on shifting. So that one actually, like you'll have to. I mean, that's what I'll come to this point actually. When you are actually trading, you'll have to bear three things in mind: trend, direction, and momentum. If you define indicators for all this, or way to figure out all this, then the odds of success is more actually. In my case, what I'll do is for identification of trend, I use this developing pivot width. So when the pivot, the TC, BC, and I told you, TC, BC, and central pivot, as the day progresses, the developing pivot, when the trend develops, actually what happens, that the width between TC and BC widens.
Wide and narrow, yes.
Yeah, the width between TC and BC widens. So that will give an indication that there is a trend which is emerging actually. That will give an advanced indication than your conventional indicators like ADX. So this is with respect to trend. I think I given those indicators available in trading. We also it is public and access free of cost also. And of course,
can you show us right now, Manoj? Can you show us the same thing?
Yeah. I'll show you. I just show you the copper trade. Yeah, this is the copper MCX copper.
Okay.
So if you see, this color shows the TC is below BC.
Okay, so this is TC below BC.
But this brownish color shows TC is below BC, means downtrend is about to emerge.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And this color shows BC, TC is above BC.
So, okay, we'll take the latest price action around 1 p.m. So what we can see is price that there is a big green candle and that TC is above BC in a very narrow range. That TC has and BC does not have big difference from TC to BC. So at what time you would have initiated the entry?
See, actually, the right time to initiate this entry is in the bottom last pan. If you see the last pan, it's called a developing pivot, with which I was talking about how to identify the trend. See, if you see here, it started sloping upwards.
So what is this, Manojji? We got the understanding of the upper band, but
it is developing pivot width. That is, see, if you see the developing pivots, it is the difference between TC and BC.
Yes.
It is just the difference between TC and BC.
Okay.
So if the TC and BC difference starts expanding, that means there's a trend developing. If you see this picture, as the trend develops, the width expands. The upper boundary and lower boundary expands.
Yes.
That is measured here.
Okay, so this is measuring the difference between the TC and BC.
TC and BC, yeah.
Okay.
That is absolute value. See, sometimes TC comes down and BC goes up, there will be negative value. So it is basically absolute value is calculated in terms of percentage. It's calculated in terms of percentage.
TC like this, like BC is coming down and TC is...
Yeah. So when market trends, it will go like this.
Yes. Like yes. Okay.
So that will give a kind of that when you plot that difference along with the moving average, any moving average, so probably the 25 or 50 moving average. So as it crosses the moving average, probably like that's an indication that there is some trend developing.
Okay.
And also that is a trend. When it comes to momentum is basically like I look at the slope of the developing pivot. So this indicator is the slope of developing pivot.
Okay. So the whole trading template is based on developing CPR.
It's developing CPR, intraday trading.
On the price, you have the locations of TC, and on the price chart, you have the actual TC and BC price. On the bottom pane, the bottommost pane, you have the difference between TC and BC. And in the middle pane, what is the middle pane?
This is the pivot shift indicator.
So what does this measure?
The pivot shift indicator in the sense like this one is the absolute value.
Okay.
This is actually actual value. See, when this is actual value. Like whenever the TC is lesser than PC, it will be in the below zero. Whenever the TC is above PC, it is above zero. and there is a moving average concept, like some number in order to smoothen the histogram.
Okay. Wow. This is something new. Even I have done the course, but I was not.
I think
into
this I.
Yeah, I know. We have
given-
given this thing, but we pick according to our needs. But this was completely
Okay, okay.
Tend to ignore certain things, but basically what we are getting is, okay, I tell you very clearly that how we use CPR is using the previous day range and planning according to that. We don't care about the DPR. How is previous day developing? How is current day developing? The only time we see the current day developing, it's like if we are getting a narrow CPR, we are going to plan the trade for tomorrow and not take any action from today. Take example of today's in Bank Nifty. So Bank Nifty was in sideways range, so we didn't use that trade that we know that Bank Nifty was going to be in a sideways range. We didn't know that. So after it is in a sideways range, we are going to plan a trade according to that we are going to get a trade.
Actually, I'll come to this. I mean, many people don't understand when that narrow CPR width should not be seen.
Yes, please.
See, like a narrow CPR width, it is not that all narrow CPR width means consolidation. See, for example, yesterday it was the range was very big.
Yes.
But the CPR was narrow.
Thursday ki day ke narrow CPR thi. There was narrow CPR.
So it
as narrow CPR thi, but range was very wide.
Okay. Yesterday's range was very wide, but if you see that is CPR based on previous day's high low close, it is it's a thin line.
Yes. Yes.
It's a thin line. I mean, I can show you here actually.
It's a very, very, very thin line.
See, it's a very thin line.
Yes.
So it is because it is calculated based on previous day high and low and close. So on an average, it will come here. So it will be very thin actually. Even TC and BC calculation also, like it will be like almost close to central pivot. So I strongly suggest that is where Camarilla pivots will come into picture actually. So the Camarilla pivot, see in Camarilla pivot what happens, there are many, it's not Camarilla pivots actually, Camarilla resistance and supports. So here we call TCBC, there actually this TC and BC has to be replaced with level 3, L3 and that is R3 and S3. Of course, it will not shift up and down. It is not like this TCBC. But it has its own different characteristics. There, what happens is this Camarilla pivot, the difference between R3 and S3, that will tell you like whether the previous day range is consolidation or not. That is the genuine. If you have a narrow R3 S3, that is the genuine indicator of a consolidation, not our. Normal this floor pivot CPR, narrow CPR.
Okay.
Because the formula used for calculating R3 and S3 is different from your TC and BC. So in TCBC, what happens if the range is wide? Also, you can get a narrow CPR. If the close is between high and low, exactly in the middle, you'll get a narrow CPR.
Okay. So, sir, let's say day before yesterday, it was not 2 days before yesterday, there was narrow CPR on Bank Nifty.
This one,
just before that.
This one, okay.
Narrow CPR. So next day will be trending. So what was your entry methodology?
You shouldn't. I mean, like the moment you see a narrow with CPR here, also like say previous day with this previous day range is not very narrow. Previous day width is very wide.
Okay.
Previous day range, I mean, it is not a previous day width, the previous day range. So your the idea behind a narrow CPR is like your previous day should be the range should be very less. So that is a genuine consolidation.
Okay.
So you always like after consolidation, you as usual expansion comes. That is the theory. So you're trying to find out that consolidation. So for that, one of the method is narrow CPR. But narrow CPR doesn't mean that all the narrow CPRs are consolidated. I mean, all the narrow CPRs relate to consolidation. So in order to do that, I strongly suggest to like instead of looking at your floor pivot CPR, in order to find whether it is consolidation or not, I strongly suggest to look at the difference between R3 and S3, Camarilla R3 and S3. So that will reveal a better picture about consolidation.
Okay. So in your chart, that blue highlighted zone and pink dotted line is your CPR, right?
This one,
This one. This is your CPR, and that brown area is your DPR, which tells you BC is below TC is below BC.
Right.
And gray area is TC is above BC.
Above BC, right.
So with all this 3, 4, given that what I can calculate is 1, 2, 3, you consider 4 types of confirmations before you enter into the trade.
Exactly, right. And there is one more thing to be noticed. For example,
okay.
See, like it is not that if all this satisfy, immediately you have to enter into a trade.
Of course.
So you have to see, for example, when you are actually going, let's assume all these 3 indicators are telling you that the odds of going long are better. So in that case, like what you have to do is you have to see whether there is immediate resistances or not.
Okay, just by reading the price action, if there is not any resistance.
Not just by reading the price action. I spent the previous day evening preparing a blueprint kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
No, like I the previous day evening, what I do is I go to Bank Nifty chart. I see I see what are the key levels. There's something
You make trading plan before the.
I just mark the key levels. The main key levels I mark are previous month high, previous month low, previous week high, previous week low. Your this one, what is that? Monthly pivot, monthly central pivot, monthly weekly central pivot, and any strong selling zones. For example, this kind of zone. This is strong selling zone.
Okay.
Around
because and this is the weekly pivot. This line is a weekly pivot. This line is monthly pivot.
Oh, that monthly pivot line, only that central pivot.
Yeah, only that, only central pivot line. And this is weekly pivot. So, and any like untouched pivot, untouched weekly and monthly, untouched weekly and monthly pivot is previous previous historical monthly or weekly pivot, which was not touched by the price. Anything is near to the current price.
So since we are on the chart, let me ask some question that I have jotted down. So there is one setup of extreme reversal setup. So how it's a very big candle, and that is followed by opposite color is small candle. So how do you take entry and put SL on those things?
No, it is see, like first of all, price action should be given due consideration only at 2 zones, resistances and supports.
Yeah, I got the point. I meant to ask, let's say there is a CPR, and at the CPR it's forming extreme reversal setup. So there is a big white candle. First candle is big white candle, 80%. I mean, it's the widest candle in last 10 to 15 days. And then the followed candle is the opposite color, small candle. So where do you take entry and where do you place SL on those things?
See, based on only this price action, I will not take an entry.
No, let's say it's at the CPR. It's at the CPR resistance or CPR support.
Yeah, assuming that, let us assume that all the other parameters also satisfy. For example, the developing pivot width is sloping upwards. Your pivot shift indicator is also like sloping upwards. Assuming all this satisfy, and if I observe, if all these are satisfied, I will not observe that kind of candle, because that candle is a reversal pattern.
Okay.
Okay, so assuming just for hypothetical in a hypothetical setup, let us assume that that condition satisfies. See, first of all, this extreme reversal setup will happen only when there is a continuous downtrend and when the market reverses. Okay, it will not happen at central pivot usually, but there are chances it will happen in central pivot. Where it will happen is, let's assume the market is continuously coming down, and when tomorrow, let us assume there is a gap down, probably gap down at S3 or something, Camarilla S3 or something, and market is the first candle is a big candle, big red candle, and second candle is trying to go below first candle, but it's not able to go, and it goes above. I mean, it goes the last 25% of the first candle.
Yes.
That is a perfect extreme reversal setup.
So where do you enter and where do you put the stop loss? Do
I
you enter on
enter
the
at
break?
I enter at the 50% level of the first candle. Usually, like Frank Ocha says, the second candle high you can enter. But I usually enter at 50% above the first candle.
And
So when
keeping the stop
crosses,
loss of the stop loss will be the lowest low of those.
Yeah. Stop loss will be ultimate. I mean, low of the day.
Okay. Got
That will be the Usually,
because when I was thinking to enter on the high of the first candle, then the risk reward is skewed asymmetrical.
Exactly.
So that's a good point that you have told. He use 50% of the first candle.
Yeah, basically what happens is each candle is having its own pivot. Each candle is the pivot of each candle is nothing but the average of high, low, and close of that candle. So ideally, the assumption is like when the price goes above the big candle, it is assumed that on an average 50 more than 50% of the traders are willing to take the price higher actually. So that is the basic assumption behind this.
Okay. So, sir, I have second question. Earlier you used to share M2Ms and the live trades on Twitter, but these days you are not doing that. That's good. So, I have what I am struggling where I am struggling is based on open high, open low strategy. Like let's open high and open low strategy. Open equals to high and open equals to low strategy. Let's assume there is a narrow CPR first, and the Camarilla width is narrow, also narrow, and then there is open high. Let's say open low. So when do you enter on open low? Do you wait for 5-minute candle close? How do you trade on that thing?
No, like open low in the sense like you mean on the downside.
Open low is the upside.
Upside. Okay, fine. See, like whenever there is a Camarilla narrow pivot width, so the ideal point of entry is you'll have to look at whether it is crossing R3 or not.
Okay.
Let's say it has gapped up above R3.
Yeah, if it has gapped up above R3, like, and if it has formed open low, probably like see, like open low, you need not it need not necessarily be an open low. It can be any kind of price action. For example, it can be a pin bar also.
Yeah, but that will get to know after. For example, we are watching a 5-minute chart. So if it is a pin bar, it will be confirmed only after the 5 minutes. So you have to wait first.
It depends on what time frame you are using. It can be 5 minutes or 15 minutes. Accordingly, the risk reward varies. But in general, actually, like when there is a narrow pivot width, I mean, the difference between R3 and S3 is narrow. In general, when the price opens above R3, or if it crosses R3, then there's a good point. It's a good strategy to go long, assuming other conditions satisfy.
Okay, so let's say
the risk reward
in this case, let's say
the risk reward is also very favorable because risk reward will be if it few points below S3, few points below R3 will be your this one stop.
Okay. So, but what about in the case of open low? Because generally what we see is when we get an open low near R3 or beyond R3, above R3,
Hmm.
then we see a very fast momentous move, very fast,
Hmm.
big momentum move, and the 5-minute candle closes to be like, let's say 1% or 2% candle.
Yeah. Then that case, like, we'll have to
Initiative
see.
trade, it's kind of initiative trade. So how do you plan your entry on such days where the first 5-minute candle, the probability of first 5-minute candle being 1% or more than 1% is very high, just
Yeah, that
because the
case you'll have
previous
to,
day the arrow
you have to
CPR,
wait.
HCL3,
Hmm.
yeah.
You have to wait for a pullback. Usually, like, if the candle is very big and if the market is there are indications that the trend might continue. So I'll put a limit order at the 50% level of the first candle, assuming that the candle is very big. So as I told you, like that 50%.
On a 50% pullback, right?
Yeah, right.
So don't
So,
you take trade on like 917? There is open low at 917. It's open low. Then you take that. Do you always
no,
wait
I
for?
don't. I don't see this shorter time frame price action is not reliable.
Okay.
So minimum time frame you use is 15 minutes.
See, it depends actually. See, usually I trade in 5 minutes. I also have a 15 minutes chart with me when I actually take position in 5 minutes. So this extreme reversal pattern, whatever Jaiswal has told, so all those things I'll look at 15 minutes chart.
Okay.
I don't give importance to 5 minutes price action because it is highly unreliable. But particularly in Bank Nifty, you can get multiple extreme reversal setups.
It's all about the location that where it is forming and how is the prior move, because it's a trend reversal setup. So prior move is high, it's a trending move, then it's and there's a strong resistance, then it's high probability to turn the market.
Exactly, right. So and one more thing I want to tell about the characteristics of Camarilla pivot is. See, there is something very important called golden pivot zone.
Golden pivot zone.
So yeah, see, the Camarilla pivots are they have a unique structure actually. See, the one which we are using, I mean the one which the whole world is using, that is only an approximate calculation of Camarilla pivot. Nobody knows the real Camarilla pivot, how it is constructed. It is still a secret. So the Camarilla pivot is constructed using the combination of a market profile, and also market profile and all those Fibonacci numbers also, and along with your statistics called normal distribution.
Okay, but normal distribution is the market profile concept. Normal distribution bell curve is equal to market profile.
It is, see, market profile technically normal, of course the shape is resembles a bell curve. But actually, if you're statistics students, you might be knowing that normal distribution cannot be applied to price. It can be applied only to returns. To price, you have to apply only log normal distribution. So this is too much statistical concept.
So is the golden pivot zone is when CPR and the Camarillas are overlapping each other, right? The one of the Camarillas.
It is. To some extent it's correct. But Camarilla pivot has one beautiful characteristic is the resistance can come below pivot.
The resistance that R3 that can come
R3,
below.
Yeah, R3 can come below central pivot. If you plot CPR that band 3 lines. So when the market is in a downtrend, you can see the R3 will always be somewhere below central pivot. Of course, within the band, within the CPR.
Okay, yes.
So that these zones are called golden pivot zones. So when the market, that means like these zones are actually like a good point to enter when the market pulls back towards this zone. This is basically confluence of indicators. You have confluence of central pivot and also confluence of the powerful R3, Camarilla R3. So which provides beautiful resistance. And similarly, the other way around also, the market is bullish. You can see the S3 and your central pivot almost at the same location, or S3 above the central pivot.
So Manoj ji, you talked about trend. direction and momentum. So how do you identify trend? Do you go to the much higher time frame charts in order to identify the
See, for intraday trading, like I basically previously only I'll complete my homework actually. During the market house, I don't go to the higher time frame chart. So previous day, as I already told you, previous day evening, I mark the key levels. Okay, and I also keep in mind the general context of the market. The general context of the market, I look at the 20-day moving average.
Okay.
And also 200-day moving average. Of course, 200-day moving average for an intraday trading, 200-day moving average on a daily chart is not that relevant. Even if the 20-day moving average is sloping upwards, also in during intraday market can come down. So that general context that I'll keep in mind, I'll not give more importance to the general context, that is higher time frame context, because like here what happens is like I already have the key levels on my intraday charts. And also like I always rely on these three indicators: trend, direction, and momentum, based on it's a daily pivot. Daily pivot is to some extent it captures the higher time frame characteristics also.
Okay. So, sir, there is a concept of Virgin CPR. What is the validity of Virgin CPR? Let's say if there is a Virgin CPR of 2 days ago. Like what we do is we only focus on the previous day Virgin CPR. Not to, so what's your take on that?
My analysis on Virgin CPR, it showed that daily Virgin CPRs are not that powerful.
Okay.
Virgin CPRs, so weekly higher time frame Virgin CPRs are to a reasonable extent it is very good actually.
Okay.
So that is why I always mark weekly and monthly Virgin CPRs if it is near to the current price levels. So I mark them on the previous day, actually previous evening.
Okay. So you don't consider daily Virgin CPR.
I usually don't give importance to daily Virgin CPR because the reason is see the distance between Virgin CPR and previous day high are more or less it will be almost at the same levels. Previous day high or previous day low, more or less it will be on the same levels. So and in many cases too many lines on the chart is also not advisable because like if you plot too many lines on the chart, every stage you will get a resistance and support. So you will not literally will not be able to trade only.
So sir, there's you have told us the concept of 2 days special CPR.
So see, 2-day CPR it is mainly used for trend analysis. So when during the previous day, like when I draw the blueprint, which I usually used to like tweet in Twitter sometime back. I mean now I stopped actually because I'm not getting time. So there, like I analyze. To have a general context of the market, I look at the higher value relationship of your CPR.
Okay.
That gives a general context of the market, whether the market is trending up or down. Apart from that, what I do is I see where the 2-day CPR with respect to 1-day CPR. See, generally, if the 1-day CPR is higher than 2-day CPR on 1 or 2 continuous days, so generally the trend is up.
Okay, so just giving the context. What is 2-day CPR? 2-day CPR is the high and the low of the previous 2 days, highest high and the highest low of the previous 2 days range, and the current closing.
Exactly right.
Okay.
2 days you are considering one session. That is how you are calculating CPR in case of 2-day CPR.
Okay.
Of course, you can calculate a CPR intraday CPR also. You can divide the trading day into 3 sessions or 2 sessions. And you can compute intraday CPR. During a trending market, intraday CPR offers a very good support for an entry. If you miss the first trend, let's assume you are missing the first phase of the trend. You can always enter when the price pulls back to the intraday CPR.
That intraday CPR, you mean developing pivot range?
Not developing pivot. I'll show you intraday CPR.
Intraday. Have you made all these indicators by yourself, or you ask for someone else help?
I made all by myself.
Wow, amount of research analysis has gone into this is phenomenal.
No, it took a lot of years. Actually, I mean, it took almost a lot of months, not years.
Yeah.
The effort you have put in is commendable. That you have made custom, tailor-made everything for yourself.
I mean, anybody can do that. Only thing you need to spend some time and sufficient time and effort. So coming to this, see, like this is actually like you have a confluence of this is intraday CPR. See, this is one session from here to.
So any decent pullback on the intraday, if I have missed the initial entry, any decent pullback on the intraday CPR will be a new location to enter into the trend.
Exactly right. See, usually what happens is this is a very beautiful location. Of course, this is in hindsight, but in the hindsight only you can learn actually.
Yeah.
This is this is one session where this session is divided into 3 subsessions. This one, this is the pivot based on previous third session's high, low, and close.
Okay.
This is the pivot based on the first session's high, low, and close. This is the pivot based on the second session's high, low, and close. So what happens is when the market...
you are considering 2-hour one session in this?
Yeah, it is basically 125 minutes.
125 minutes. Okay.
Yeah,
2 hours, 5 minutes.
Yeah, 125 minutes. That is,
yes, please.
It is your session, the full session is 375 minutes. So you are dividing that into 3 subsessions, 125, 125, 125. So today when the market opens, you have actually 2 sets of CPRs. One is the previous day full high, low, close based CPR, and another is previous closing 125 minutes high, low, and close CPR. So usually what happens is that closing the post afternoon session are usually managed by professionals.
Okay.
The market is started by amateurs and closed by professionals. This everybody knows that. So usually like that CPR is very powerful. So
okay,
when
so last 125 minutes CPR is very powerful.
Is very powerful. That is for the next session. That is for tomorrow's session. And it is even more powerful when the 125 day, the previous day 125 CPR and the previous entire day CPR coincides. So all this are actually value addition. All this will give you an edge actually. So when the price comes to that level, you always know that there will be some reaction.
So this is also inbuilt in this indicator.
Yeah, it is inbuilt in this indicator. Of course, like the AMI broker AFL which I had given to you, it is already there. Now the latest AFL which I had provided sometime last week, there you can divide the entire day into 2 sessions and can plot 2 intraday CPRs.
Okay.
This one I can just show you. This is what I meant. The overlapping of the previous day's closing 125 minutes CPR and the previous day's CPR.
So this becomes a prominent level, right? So this becomes
a prominent level. Yeah. Oh. So when price, let's assume in this case, okay, in this case it was gap down. Let's assume price touches here. That will be a good indication to look at the price action. This is where the price action one should try to identify here. Suppose you get a bearish price action here. So it is a good point of short entry.
So if we get a rejection from this price or from this level, with a 5-minute chart or a 15-minute chart, that will be a good entry to initiate the shorts.
Initiate short position, exactly right.
That today's open need to validate the yesterday's CPR. Let's say the CPR is down. Let's say if the CPR is trending down, the CPR relationship is down, and the market has opened below CPR, means that the open has confirmed the yesterday's bias of bearish trend. But if the market, today's market opened above CPR, that means that, and if the momentum sustains, that means that open has not confirmed the yesterday's bearish bias.
Right.
Okay. Do we have anything like, because I have seen many times when there is something called pro gap. When the today's candle is red, yesterday's candle is big red, and the market opened above CPR, we tend to see a big movement in first 15-20 minutes only.
Yeah. See, actually, if you remember, I taught a pattern called SCR, short covering SCR pattern. So the SCR pattern is basically what it says is you have a continuous downward, what do you call, lower value relationship CPR. And suddenly, next morning, suddenly price opens, when you are expecting the price to open below CPR, suddenly price opens above CPR. Then there is a reasonable chance of short covering rally continuing. This is called that SCR pattern. And there is one more pattern called LUW, long unwinding pattern, where if you have a series of higher value relationship, and the next day morning, if price opens below CPR, so there are chances that the price might continue downwards. They're actually like, let's assume that in a long unwinding, if the price is touching the CPR, if it is opening gap up, gap down, and if it's touching central pivot CPR, then it is a nice place to go short there. See, like, let's assume the price is going up. It's a trending market.
Yes.
You have a higher value relationship, higher value CPR relationship. So every day morning, you expect price to open above CPR, come to CPR, and take a turn. CPR is always used as a pullback for entry. Suppose, I mean, this will not continuously happen. No? So one point of time, it has to break because people have to book profits. So you are trying to identify that particular day. So that particular day, how you can identify is when the price opens below CPR, a continuous higher value relationship. The next day, when you are expecting price to open above CPR, but on the contrary, price opens below CPR, then that gives an indication that that's a probable long unwinding that might happen. See, it can go suddenly, it can go up also. That is a different thing. If you continuously practice this setup, at 8 out of 10 times you will be successful. Yeah. So there, the ideal point of entry is you'll have to wait for the price to pull back to the CPR, and there you have to observe price. It all depends actually. Like sometimes it doesn't happen also. It will continuously trend down.
Yeah, I think most of the time it just continuously slides down. It doesn't give us entry at CPR.
Yeah, so it all depends actually. It all and you can take an entry based on your risk reward setup with the day's high as stop. So these are the nuances of pivot actually. See, basically the idea, see this developing CPR, this pivot shift indicator and all, it is a new concept which I have developed. You cannot find anywhere in any books actually.
True.
So Manoj, you talked about momentum, that it's out of three things, third comes momentum. So we talked about trend, we talked about direction. We are thankful to you that you are openly showing your charts and everything. So many things are new, obviously, for us also and for the viewers also, that I'm sure they're going to be their mind blown with all the CPRs uses as well. So how do you consider that momentum or a momentous move is about to come?
See, momentum, I use pivot shift indicator. I told you. See, this one is there. Like, let's assume this is the trend. See the behavior of this pivot shift indicator.
Okay, so this is your identification of, but this shows initially that shows initially that shows trend change.
It is see, you have to observe this in tandem with this developing pivot width. See, the developing pivot width is sloping upwards, and this is sloping downwards. So that means this shows the momentum on the downside.
Okay. So this shows momentum on down.
This shows the trend is developing.
So in accordance with the key levels that you prepared.
Yeah. And of course, like a proper entry location, I look at charts. For example, in this case, in hindsight, of course, you can enter here. So this is how, I mean, this you have to practice actually, because many people, many students, they want wanted some ready-made setups to be given to them, which see, of course, system trading can also be done actually. But system trading, what will happen is you will have to like take some drawdowns because system will not recognize the price action. System will not recognize big candles. So all those things are there. I mean, system cannot recognize the upward sloping pivot shift and all. I mean, in my opinion, your eye is the best indicator. After that, only all your system trading and all will come into picture.
So, sir, coming to the next question, can you tell us more about the breakout of the CPR? When is the breakout of the CPR? Not CPR, sorry, Camarilla.
No. See, actually, like I tested this particular concept in general. Like what Frank Ocha teaches is above R4, above the level 4. That is a breakout level, and below R3 and S3, it is a reversal point. For example, let's assume price opens somewhere around central pivot. If it goes to R3 and reverses, there you have to observe price action, and you can go short there for a target towards S3. That is what he tells in the book.
Book shows, yes.
And between R3 and S3, that is no trade zone. Sorry, between R3 and R4, that is no trade zone. And between S3 and S4, it is a no trade zone. And above R4, it is a breakout zone. That is how he teaches. And it is actually tested in US market. There is a site where you can, I forgot the name of the site. It is actually tested in US market. That test results you can see live. It is performing very beautifully in US markets. But in Indian markets, this is not performing. I have back tested this. For particularly this breakout strategy where you go long above R4 and go short below S4.
Yes.
It is not that very effective in Indian markets. But above level 3 breakout and below level 3 breakdown in case of R3 and S3, that is performing reasonably better.
Yes.
I think sometime last week I came up with an indicator called Camarilla breakout strategy in TradingView. Two things you have to consider actually when you are actually playing for this breakout or breakdown trading. Your Camarilla difference between R3 and S3 should be minimum. Minimum in the sense the width should be narrow.
Narrow.
Yes.
It should be reasonably narrow, and if you observe an inside day candle on the daily chart, and at the same time you'll observe when you see an inside day candle the daily chart, and also like when you observe a narrow R3 S3 width in the intraday charts, then the probability of this breakout trading succeeding will be very high. I have seen whenever there is a narrow width appearing in your intraday charts, narrow R3 S3 width, and also like when you see a kind of inside day candle, it need not be exactly inside day. See a small candle, contracting candle daily chart. So it is always advisable to look at any breakout above R3 and S3. But of course, like you'll have to observe price action. There are other parameters to be seen also. It is not that you straight away you have to jump. Sometimes what happens is it opens gap up and starts coming down. So you have to observe the price action. Price action is very important.
Can you see the Havells chart of today? We have narrow CPR, we have volatility contraction on daily chart, and we have a narrow Camarilla level also. The S3 and L3, the R3 and S3 were narrowed.
See, in this case actually R3 S3 is not very narrow.
Okay.
See, because the previous day range is very wide. So now you see central. This is a very good example. You see central pivot CPR width is narrow.
If you go to the daily chart, the previous day range is narrow. If you compare that to the previous 5 to 10 days, the previous day width is narrow. Sorry, previous day range is narrow for yesterday.
Of course, daily chart compared to previous 3-4 candles, it's appearing to be a narrow candle. But because of this doji pattern, your high-low slightly, your Camarilla pivot width is slightly expanded actually. What's your question here?
So is there any nuances to know before that today is the auction is not good, or that it won't be uptrending day? It will be the trending day, but it won't be in a single direction.
That is where your marking previous levels will come into picture actually. See, if you see here, if you see, look at previous levels. Here you have a selling zone here. Here you have a selling zone.
Okay.
Here you have a selling zone. So naturally, like when price reaches this levels, the people who have already sold here, they will again try to sell. So most likely that could be the reason why you can find some resistance here. So when you plot key levels the previous day evening, you will come to know, like, okay, beyond this point there could be some resistance. Of course, it can break also. Nobody knows that. So whenever price approached here, see here also, whenever price approached here, there was some selling. Here also there was some selling. Finally, at the end of the day, it started breaking out.
And what about magnet trade? Did you trade it magnet trade today? Like
today I did trade magnet trade. That's where I lost money.
Okay, on Bank Nifty or Nifty?
On Bank Nifty, I expected because like magnet trade, it usually it's a reasonable. It has a reasonable success rate.
Yes.
But magnet trade is not a trending based trade actually. It is basically kind of reversal kind of thing.
Yeah, even I was looking to short based on the evening star on the previous day high, when the previous day high was breakdown. But my bias was bullish. That's why I restrained myself not to trade short today.
I was not totally convinced even when I took the trade, because VIX was actually continuously coming down. Which was VIX was actually, it was significantly coming down. It was 5. When I entered the trade, it was almost negative 5%.
And it ended with negative 9%.
Yeah, and also like I being an option buyer, it is a risky. I mean, to a certain extent, it's a risky trade also, because like if it doesn't work out, the theta decay will come into picture, because next 3 days it's a holiday.
Yes.
So you're specifically intraday trader. You don't carry your buying options.
I don't carry my positions.
So you buy ATM calls and puts. ATM strike.
I buy ATM calls on expiry day. Sometimes I buy OTM calls also for that expiry. Yesterday I bought OTM puts. In fact, I made very good money yesterday.
Can you go through the trade with us?
Yesterday was a very simple trade. It is actually yesterday completely market trended during the first half. So this consolidation zone. This consolidation zone and this breakout here. See, here it was moving up. It was sloping upwards. Of course, about this continuously it was sloping down.
Sloping downwards.
Yeah, and this particular, I was just waiting for this consolidation zone to break out. I just drew a simple line here. The moment when this candle was about to form, even before this candle could form, I took a OTM put.
OTM put. So on Thursday only, you on expiry day you play OTM, otherwise you play ATM.
Yeah. OTM in the sense like when the market is likely to, when all this setup satisfies.
Okay. And what
just like the OTM put, there's always a risk actually of becoming zero at any point of time.
So your stop loss was above this consolidation.
Just above this candle.
Just above this candle?
Yeah, just above this candle. Because I can't keep here, because the theta effect will come into picture.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why you were trailing closely.
Yeah, I was trading closely, and I covered somewhere here. I think I didn't wait for this the last candle and all. Somewhere in the middle of this candle, the beginning of this candle, because like I just wanted to, whenever you trade a OTM call or put on expiry, you'll have to sell at either strength or weakness. You cannot wait for the reversal. You cannot wait for the reversal. You lose heavily. I mean, the opportunity will be lost.
You lose very heavily, yes.
Yeah.
So in expectation of high momentum that you're expecting, you're going to get a good momentum. So do you pyramid in that trade?
I don't pyramid actually, because there's no time to pyramid also. This gamma effect comes into play. By the time
on a usual day, not on the OTM days, expiry days, but
usual day, yeah. sometimes like see, I usually invest almost 100% of my position. I'm 100% of my whatever capital I am allocating for that particular day.
Hmm.
I usually invest 100% at the start of the trend.
Start of the
Trend. So
trend.
when I observe when I observe all these conditions are satisfied, I usually invest 100%, not 100% of my capital, 100% of what I plan to take
Intended risk.
trade for that day. Suppose, like, let's assume, suppose if I missed out due to some reason. So usually, I try, as I told you, I look for pullbacks at the intraday chart, intraday pivots.
Okay. So do you go all in 100% of your quantity, or do you go partial and then build a position later?
I usually go 100% because I wanted to capture the trend as early as possible.
Okay. Okay, sir. So these were my personal questions because trading intraday with CPR and Camarillas wrote down from my trading journal where I was studying. Thank you for that, sir. So Manish, do you have other question, or let's continue with the sir's trading setup?
No. I currently I'm overwhelmed with all this, but I have gotten yet because the weekend works has been clear that I have to. There's so much to research with all this, so much to backtest with all this. So I guess I am pretty much overwhelmed as of now.
So sir, our request is to share our trading setup so that our viewers who are completely new to intraday, they can take something out of this and build a system around it.
Yeah, see, this the setup which I'm showing you, the success rate is very high. There are I'll tell you another setup which I already shared in the public. There is another setup called afternoon breakout, after 1 p.m. breakout. It is called, I have already shared with my students actually. It is in the Twitter also I've shared. It's called after 1 p.m. breakout. You have to see like it's something like opening range breakout, but the opening range here is right from morning open till 1 o'clock. So when market breaks high or low, you have to either go long or short with a breakout level as the stop loss. So that is actually the success rate is very high there.
Can you show the recent trade based on that thing after 1 p.m. setup? And what are the prerequisites before that? Do you see narrow CPR or anything like
no, there is no such prerequisite because like the idea behind this particular setup is because this setup like you'll not get very frequently. When you get, you'll get reasonably very good trade. See, for example, if we take this is the high during the day, somewhere here I think. So this is the 1 p.m. breakout. The idea behind this trade is it is not randomly picked actually. 1 p.m. is not randomly picked. The idea is actually professionals come in the closing of the market. So usually like their activities are genuine, unlike the morning choppiness, which are usually morning, the first 15 minutes, 30 minutes will be done by mainly amateurs. So the closing move is always reliable. So that is the main concept behind this strategy. Initially, like I had tried backtesting 8 p.m. It's called after 2 p.m. strategy, which was working for some time, but for the last 1 year it was not working. It was not very effective. So then I tried to like fiddle with the timings. And then I found after 1 p.m. Giving a better backtesting results.
So in this case, where will you take your entry and what will be your SL?
It all depends on whether you are waiting for the candle to break or in the process of breaking down also you can enter. Because the risk reward is highly unfavorable because you will be just you'll be just keeping the stop loss just a few points above the breakdown or breakout candle.
So the stop loss above the high of the candle or the breakout level?
Not above the high of the candle, just above the breakout level. So probably 50 points above the breakout level. But in case of Bank Nifty, it can be 100 points because Bank Nifty usually is so highly volatile. So usually this type of I suggest to like close this type of trade at the end of the day, not in between, because usually like it'll you can capture the maximum points.
I think you have greatly impacted the way I see the intraday markets. So thank you for your research and thank you for your indicators, free indicators, because I was using your CPR indicator at that point of time. I'm using your CPR width indicator currently, and I think I will be using your TCBC CPR indicator from
Yeah, yeah, right, right.
this weekend
That's
onwards.
great. That's great.
So you
So-
being an intraday trader, it's matlab you have a job plus you do intraday trading. So how is your trading, a normal trading day or a normal trading routine like?
See, as I told you, like previous day, like I usually prepare a blueprint, and I usually mark the levels the previous day. So morning, I usually get 2 to 3 hours free time actually before starting to office.
Okay.
So that is where like usually like when a trend develops, usually it develops in the morning. During the 2 to 3 hours when as I told you, when my setup satisfies all the three trend, momentum, direction satisfies. So like most of my trades start in the morning, but at office like I have access to internet. So like on and off I can see my positions and I can close the positions also there. So it of course like that is not ethical.
I think the people of Kuwait will not see this video.
Yeah.
They are safe enough.
So it is not on a daily basis, of course. Like so usually this kind of setup will come not on a daily basis.
Of course. Market
Trend movement.
So what time Indian market starts from the Kuwait time?
what's the
It is around 6:45 here.
Okay, so 6:45 in the morning, Indian market starts.
Yeah. 6:45 and I think 1 o'clock it closes.
Okay, so you have to wake up, I think, around 5 or 4, 5.
Yeah,
5.
right.
Okay, so you go office by 9, so you have, I think, 2.5 hours for
Exactly,
training.
right.
Okay, so you are in the perfect time zone.
Right, exactly right.
this
Okay,
helps
so
you?
you are living there with your family?
No, my family actually left last year because of my son's schooling.
Okay.
So my son is doing his 12th standard. So I thought, okay, I'll put him in a better school because here schooling is not that great actually in Kuwait.
So you're planning to coming back to India and do
Yeah. Like
full-time trading?
I'm planning in another 1 or 2 years. I'm planning to wind up here.
Okay.
So that is my plan.
Trading and with job, do you get a chance to invest in markets as well?
Yeah. I am avid investor actually. Like I predominantly use, as I told you in the beginning of this conversation, I predominantly use Mark Minervini and Stan Weinstein methods to invest. Of course, like I've allocated some of my portfolio towards mutual funds also, which it's a very long-term basis. I don't frequently follow it. Completely 100% equity mutual funds.
Okay.
And major portion is allocated on and off towards this Mark Minervini, Stan Weinstein based stocks. Right now, I'm under. I have disinvested everything. I'm sitting 100% cash actually because of the market volatility.
So did you take the benefit of Corona crash last year?
Corona crash, I benefit usually like if I observe my past trades, the biggest wins usually come when the market is crashing.
Biggest trend only arrives.
No, I mean to say about the investment portfolio.
So buying good stocks at very.
Did you add into your portfolio?
No, that I actually like I had one position Deepak Nitrate.
It's a great stock. I do have that in my portfolio.
No, I did a mistake actually. Like during the Corona crash, that also fell. So I booked my profits because my investment cost was very low actually. I booked my profits there, but after that, after all this confusion was over, it got zoomed like anything.
Still zooming.
Yeah, it's still zooming. And but during the Corona crash, I did I captured the highest intraday profits during that crash actually. It took some 17-18 lakhs. That was highest in my career.
In a single day, 17-18 lakhs in a single day.
Yeah.
Wow. And you lost 9 to 10 lakhs a few years ago. Matlab,
Few years,
see
yeah,
the
right, right.
journey we have come from losing 10 lakhs to making 20 lakhs in a single day.
In a
Wow.
losing 10 in a day, in a year, and making 8,
Uh,
20 in a day. This is
what was your biggest win till date? Is
That
17 lakhs?
17 lakhs, the Corona crash, intraday trading.
and biggest win period over the time for a time of 6 months or a year. How much?
I think
Matlab, winning streak.
last year was a very good year for me. Last year almost 48 to 49 lakhs. It was a good year for me. But when I see my past history of trades, you remember that China devaluation crash. 2015, there was Chinese currency devaluation.
Hmm.
Okay.
Chinese yuan devaluation, because of which the market crashed.
Hmm.
So that point of time also my performance was it was above average actually, because I always whenever market crashes
It falls by
automatically
elevator.
automatically I get involved in that market actually.
Okay.
The same is, it is not the other way around. When the market is bullish, I always, whenever I have a position, let's assume the market is bullish, very strongly uptrending. And when my system, all the three indicators satisfies the trend, momentum, and direction, and I enter into a position, I like always, there'll be on the back of my mind, always there will be a kind of consciousness that market might crash. The kind of psychological setback will be there. I'll very cautiously watch my moves, keep trailing stop. Sometimes the trailing stop might hit also, and market might continue its trend. Whereas the other way around,
sorry, continue.
Yeah, whereas the other way around, when the market is bearish, when there is a downtrend, I very confidently do not trail my stop. I keep a original stop.
So
that
is, this has brought me to the next question. How do you trail your stop loss? Since you are a so much systematic trader and you have everything planned, you have broke the session of 1 day into 3 sessions. So how do you do your trailing stop losses?
See, basically what I do is in a downtrend, actually, when the market is down in a downtrend, I usually don't trail my stop.
Okay.
I usually keep my stop. I try to keep my stop at my cost. Initially, I have a stop loss. So when the market trends, I move it to stop. Move it to my cost. Beyond that, I will not trail. When the market is in downtrend, when the market is in uptrend, I keep trailing my stop. What I do is I keep this developing pivot, central pivot. That as my stop. Usually I book 50% when I get a decent gain, when the market is in uptrend. The balance 50% I trail using the developing pivot width or intraday pivot. You would have seen that intraday pivot on the screen, just below that lower CPR. I keep a stop. I keep trailing based on the developing CPR, that lowest. The BC actually, yeah.
So, what kind of risk reward do you aim for? Since you are trading on a 15-minute chart and the crash is very huge, so what kind of risk reward do you aim for?
I'm not trading on a 15-minute chart. I'm trading on a 5-minute chart. 15-minute
So
chart.
that means you are getting a huge risk reward on most of the trade.
See, most of my trades, I trade. Majority of my trades are when only the trend develops.
Okay.
Majority of my trade.
So what kind of risk reward do you get on those days?
Usually when the market, usually I get around 1:3 on an average.
Wow, super.
On an average 1:3, because this 1:3 is on an average including my bearish trade, that is trades during the bearish trend and bullish trend. Bearish trend, if you see on an average, it is above 1:4 when the market is bearish.
That's
but when the market is bullish, sometimes it cuts to 1:1 or 1:2 also.
So on an average, you get 1:3.
Yeah, on average 1:2
Population be
to 1:3. In between 1:2 to 1:3, if you calculate my average return.
So, Manoj, you told me that 2013 was a bad year when you lost around 9 to 10K, 9 to 10 lakhs around a period of 10 months to 1 year. So you told us that there are a lot of readings that you did. There are a lot of, you went to a lot of books. You got help from a lot of books. So which were the books that helped you in that time, so that our viewers and us too can get benefit from that and get that rock solid.
Yeah, if you ask me what books to be recommended, I strongly recommend reading Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas.
Okay.
That is it's a very boring book, but that's very important to be learned first. Actually, it has to be read first. Actually, and people who are interested in pivots, they can read Frank Ocha's Pivot Boss, Secrets of Pivot Boss. But not necessarily people will be interested in pivots. There could be people who are interested in some other method of trading also. For example, using conventional indicators with MACD, your stochastic and all. So for those kind of people, I strongly recommend day trading for a living by Alexander Elder. That's a very excellent book. That, in fact, that was literally the first book which I read actually. Trading for a Living by Alexander Elder.
And can we expect a book by you?
No, I am not such a great person to write a book.
Because you have done extensive work. I think over that period of time, you should consider writing a book.
Still a long way to go actually, because say like there are, in my opinion, instead of learning from me, I always tell my students to learn from international stalwarts like Mark Minervini, Frank Ochoa. And from there, you can develop lots of concepts. Because those people, they have established themselves.
So, there will be many people who might be, as of now, struggling in intraday trading and to develop their own freedom, or maybe to stick with the discipline of their system. So, is there any advice that you would like to give to those people that they are struggle? They could obviously they'll struggle. Is there any advice you can give to those people so that their struggle would be cut short?
See, basically, like people who are struggling in trading, if you ask them like what are the rules behind which you trade, they'll be blank. See, trading is a world. I mean, when you are entering into trading, let's assume you are like entering into a trading, or like any XYZ is entering into a trading. Trading is a separate environment. Real life is a separate environment. Reality is a separate environment. What we are speaking with the common man, with your relatives, with your friends, with your family members, that is a separate environment. That environment is bound by certain rules and regulations. So your mind is in a frame where you are actually bound to behave based on certain rules and regulations. In a normal life, I'm telling. Okay, when so like let's assume that person XYZ person is moving to a trading environment. In a trading environment, there is no boundaries and rules.
Yes.
So he becomes completely free. That is the psychology which he himself will not realize. So he becomes completely free, like he has his own capital. So he can literally play around with his capital. So that is where like the human psychology, like when the human psychology shifts from a boundary environment to a boundaryless environment, that recklessness comes into picture actually.
Absolutely, I can relate to every word you are saying from the experience of my earlier days.
Okay.
Even today we are reckless in our behavior, but yeah, it's a work in progress.
So the best way to mitigate this kind of behavior is you will have to write down your rules and regulations. Because you have to frame your own rules and regulations. In a normal society has already framed rules and regulations. So you're not bound to go beyond that. Whereas in a trading environment, the way you trade, you have to design your own boundary. So that is where the difference lies. So when you write down your rules and regulations and stick in front of your trading screen or in a diary or whatever it is. So every day before trading, you have to go through that. So that is how like you can mitigate this kind of psychological setback. Many intraday traders are not only intraday traders, many traders they do not have a fixed set of rules and regulations. They behave as if, as and when the market moves, they increase their position size.
So I think this will be the best advice you will be giving to a 5 years younger you, right? To have a proper set.
Definitely. To whoever is coming to the world of trading, this is the only advice which I give to them actually. See, trading is a place where you are seeing the money in front of your eyes, but you are not able to capture that because you don't have rules and regulations.
True that. So last 1 or 2 minutes will be $1 million advice, and if somebody can stick to it and follow it religiously, and he or she can change his trading trajectory.
Exactly, right.
Cut down.
See, in my opinion, when you have a solid risk management, even a mediocre strategy can be converted profitable.
Wow.
Super. We have been talking for more than 2 hours, and time just went by, and we didn't realize that it is more than 2.5 hours, about to be 2.5 hours. So I guess that's the power of your wisdom and power of your knowledge, Manoj. So thank you so much for coming and gracing our channel and sharing and imparting knowledge to us, listening to us, to answer every question of us so humbly, and also I guess so many viewers will be able to benefit from the knowledge that you have imparted on our channel.
It's my pleasure joining you actually. Like in fact, last week I somehow missed out due to some unavoidable circumstances. So I apologize for that.
It's fine, sir. And thank you for because I have wrote so many questions and you have taken all the questions and you have showed everything. It's not you have hidden something. You were completely transparent. Thank you for that, sir. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's my pleasure as always. Thank you very much.
If we get any more questions, we will invite you again, sir.
Sure. No problem at all. Anytime.
So, all right, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
So this thing to the viewers, if you have any questions or if you want to connect with Manoj Ji, you can contact him on his Twitter handle. We will link his Twitter handle in the description of this video. So make sure if you want to say thank you for his knowledge, or if you want to ask, or if you want to connect with him in any sort of way, you can go to his Twitter handle.